I stared at the eviction notice taped to my apartment door. 30 days. That's all I had left before my daughter Mia and I would be on the streets. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. Inside, 6-year-old Mia was coloring at our small kitchen table. She looked up with those big brown eyes and smiled. "Mommy, look what I drew." I forced a smile back, shoving the notice into my purse. For 3 years, I'd been working 2 jobs just to barely survive. Waitressing during the day, cleaning offices at night. It was never enough. Then last week, a miracle happened. I got a call about a corporate job. Real benefits. Real salary. Enough to actually breathe. Tomorrow was my first day. This job could save our lives. Or so I thought. The Sterling Industries building was 50 stories of glass and steel. I felt small walking through the revolving doors in my one good business suit. Other employees rushed past in expensive clothes, barely noticing me. I checked in at reception, my heart pounding. Clara Morrison. First day. The receptionist gave me a tight smile and handed me a badge. "Welcome to Sterling. Fair warning, Mr. Cole has been in a mood all week. Keep your head down." I nodded, not understanding what she meant. As I rode the elevator to the 15th floor, 2 women whispered behind me. "Another new hire. She'll be gone by Friday." "That's generous. I give her 3 days." The elevator doors opened. My supervisor greeted me with a tired expression. "You're Clara? Come on. The CEO wants to meet all new employees personally." My stomach dropped. Right now. Ethan Cole's office was on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. Behind a massive desk sat a man who looked like he hadn't smiled in years. Dark hair. Sharp suit. Cold blue eyes that could freeze water. He looked up from his computer as I entered. The moment our eyes met, something strange happened. He froze completely. His face went pale. His hand stopped mid-reach for his coffee mug. I felt it too. A weird jolt of recognition that made no sense. I'd never seen this man before in my life. At least, I didn't think I had. My memories only went back 6 years, to waking up in a hospital with no past. "Sir," my supervisor prompted. "This is Clara Morrison. Starting in accounting today." Ethan blinked slowly, like he was waking from a trance. "Leave us." My supervisor left quickly, closing the door behind her. I stood there awkwardly as Ethan stared at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Have we met?" he asked, his voice rough. I shook my head. "No, sir. I'm sure I'd remember." He stood up and walked around his desk, studying my face like I was a puzzle he needed to solve. I stepped back instinctively. "You look like someone I used to know." His jaw clenched. "Someone who's dead." Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He answered it sharply, still staring at me. Whatever the person said made him angry. He slammed the phone down and grabbed a file from his desk. "Your resume says you have experience in corporate accounting. Prove it." He shoved the file at me. "Find the error. You have 5 minutes." My hands trembled as I opened the file. Numbers and spreadsheets blurred together. The pressure was crushing. I could feel Ethan watching my every move. 3 minutes in, I found something that looked off. A decimal point in the wrong place. I pointed it out nervously. Ethan looked at where I was pointing. His face darkened. "That's not the error. That's a test. And you failed." My heart sank. "You're fired." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "But I just started. I haven't even. I don't tolerate incompetence. Security will escort you out." Tears burned my eyes. I thought about Mia. The eviction notice. Our empty refrigerator. "Please," I heard myself say. "I have a daughter. I need this job. Just give me another chance." Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. But it vanished quickly. "Should have thought about that before applying somewhere you clearly don't belong." He pressed a button on his desk. Security to my office. I was escorted out like a criminal. Other employees stared as I was walked to the elevator. I'd lasted less than an hour. Outside, I sat on a bench and cried until I had no tears left. Then I went home to face Mia. That night, I held my daughter while she slept, wondering how I'd failed so completely. Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan Cole sat in his penthouse with a bottle of whiskey. He couldn't stop thinking about Clara's face. Those eyes. That voice. The way she held herself. It was impossible. Elena was dead. He'd identified her body himself 5 years ago after the car accident. The body had been badly burned, but the dental records matched. The wedding ring was on her finger. He'd buried her. Mourned her. Learned to live without her. So why did this woman look exactly like his dead wife? Ethan pulled out an old photograph from his desk drawer. Elena on their wedding day, laughing in her white dress. He held it next to his laptop, where he'd pulled up Clara's employee file photo. The resemblance was impossible to deny. Same face. Same eyes. Even the same small scar on her left eyebrow. He remembered when Elena got that scar. She'd fallen off her bike when she was 12. She'd told him that story on their 3rd date. His hands shook as he set down the photo. He'd been there when they pulled Elena's body from the wreckage. The car had gone off a cliff and burst into flames. The police said she died on impact. But what if they were wrong? What if someone made a mistake? No. He was losing his mind. Grief playing tricks after all these years. Elena was gone. This Clara person was just an unfortunate coincidence. I sat at home the next morning, staring at my bank account. $47 until next month. Mia was eating cereal at the table, already dressed for school. "Mommy, did you like your new job?" she asked innocently. I couldn't tell her I'd been fired. Couldn't break her heart like that. "It was interesting, baby." She smiled and went back to her cereal. After I dropped her at school, I came back to our tiny apartment and broke down. That's when I noticed the old shoebox in my closet. Inside were the few things I had from before my accident 6 years ago. A hospital bracelet. Some clothes. A single photograph of a baby, Mia, I assumed, though I had no memory of taking it. I'd woken up in that hospital with a head injury and complete amnesia. No memories. No family. Just pregnant and alone. The doctor said my memory might never come back. Ethan couldn't let it go. The next morning, he called his head of security into his office. "I need a complete background check on someone. Clara Morrison. I want everything. Where she came from, where she's been, every detail of her life." His security chief nodded. "How far back?" "As far as you can go." 2 days later, the report came back. Ethan read it 3 times, not believing what he was seeing. Clara Morrison didn't exist before 6 years ago. No birth certificate. No school records. No employment history. Nothing. She appeared in hospital records 6 years ago after being found unconscious on the side of a road. Pregnant. No identification. Amnesia. The hospital gave her the name Clara Morrison. Clara because a nurse liked the name, Morrison because it was the street she was found on. Ethan's blood ran cold. 6 years ago. Elena had been dead for 5 years. The timing was almost right. I was surprised when I got a call from Sterling Industries. The woman on the phone said Mr. Cole wanted to meet with me to review my termination. I almost said no. But I needed closure. Needed to understand what I'd done wrong. So I went back. This time, I was led to a small conference room instead of his massive office. Ethan was already there, looking exhausted. Like he hadn't slept in days. "Sit down," he said, his voice gentler than before. I sat across from him, keeping the table between us. "I owe you an apology," he said slowly. "I shouldn't have fired you so quickly. It was unprofessional." I stared at him in shock. "Then why did you?" He looked at me intensely. "Because you remind me of someone. Someone I lost." It threw me off balance. His voice cracked slightly. "Have we met before? Before you came to Sterling?" I shook my head. "No. I would remember." "Are you sure?" He leaned forward. "Think carefully. Maybe years ago. Maybe under different circumstances." There was something desperate in his voice. Something that scared me. "I don't remember anything before 6 years ago," I admitted. "I was in an accident. Lost my memory. I don't even know my real name." Ethan went completely still. "What kind of accident?" "I don't know. I was found on the side of a road. Head injury. Pregnant. No ID." I watched his face carefully. "Why are you asking me this?" He didn't answer. Just stood up abruptly and walked to the window. "I'm offering you your job back. Better position. Better pay. You start Monday." I should have been happy. But something felt wrong. "Why?" "Because I made a mistake. And because." He turned to look at me. "Because you deserve a second chance." I took the job. I needed it too badly to ask more questions. Over the next few weeks, strange things started happening. I'd catch Ethan watching me across the office. Not in a creepy way, in a sad way. Like he was mourning something. I also started having dreams. Flashes of memories that didn't feel like mine. A wedding. Laughter. A man's voice calling me Elena. Then one day, Ethan saw Mia. I'd had to bring her to work because her school was closed. She was sitting in the break room, coloring quietly. Ethan walked in to get coffee and froze when he saw her. Mia looked up and smiled. "Hi. I'm Mia. Are you Mommy's boss?" Ethan stared at her like he'd seen a ghost. His coffee mug slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. I rushed in at the sound. "I'm so sorry. I'll clean this up." But Ethan wasn't listening. He was staring at Mia's eyes. Those same brown eyes I saw in the mirror every day. That night, Ethan did something he knew was wrong. While I was in a meeting, he went to the break room where Mia was coloring. "Mia, can I see your picture?" She held it up proudly. "It's a dragon." As she showed him, he carefully took the cup she'd been drinking from. The cup with her saliva on it. He felt like a criminal as he sealed it in a plastic bag. But he needed to know. He needed the truth. He sent it to a private lab along with his own DNA sample. Rush order. 2 days later, the results came back. He read the email 3 times. Then he sat down heavily in his chair. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Mia was his daughter, which meant Clara was Elena, his wife. Alive. But she didn't remember him. Didn't remember their life together. Didn't remember the love they'd shared. Someone had taken all of that from her. From them. Ethan called me into his office the next day. I could tell something was wrong. His face was pale, his hands clenched into fists. "We need to talk," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. I sat down nervously. "Am I in trouble?" "No. But I need you to tell me the truth about something." He pulled out a photograph and slid it across the desk. "Do you know this woman?" I looked at the photo. It was a wedding picture. A beautiful bride in white, laughing at the camera. I felt a strange tug in my chest. "She looks like me," I whispered. "That's because she is you." Ethan's voice shook. "Her name was Elena Cole. She was my wife. She died 5 years ago in a car accident." My heart pounded. "That's impossible." "I'm not. You are." He slid another paper across. "This is a DNA test. Mia is my biological daughter. Which makes you Elena." I couldn't breathe. The room spun around me. No, that's not possible. I would remember. I would know if I was married. "You had amnesia," Ethan said, his voice gentle now. "The accident. The head injury. It took your memories." Tears streamed down my face. "Why didn't you find me? Why didn't you look for me?" "Because I thought you were dead." His voice cracked. "I identified your body. I buried you. I mourned you for 5 years." He stood up, running his hands through his hair. "Someone made me believe you were dead. Someone took you from me, erased your memory, and left you with nothing." I stood up shakily. "I need to go. I need to think." "Clara, Elena, wait." He reached for my hand. The moment he touched me, something happened. A flash of memory. His hand holding mine. A wedding ring. His voice saying, "I love you, Elena. Forever." I yanked my hand back, gasping. What was that? Over the next few days, I couldn't escape Ethan. He didn't push, but he was always there. Showing me photos. Telling me stories about our life together. About how we met in college. About our wedding. About the day I told him I was pregnant. And with every story, I felt something unlock in my mind. Small memories. Fragments. His laugh. The way he drank his coffee. The nickname he used to call me. But I also started noticing something else. A car that followed me home from work. A man in a dark suit watching from across the street. Someone was following me. I told Ethan, and his face went dark. I was afraid of this. Afraid of what? That whoever took you would come back. He pulled me into his office and locked the door. "Elena, there's something I never told you. Before your accident, you'd found something. Evidence that someone in my company was embezzling millions." Ethan pulled up old files on his computer. "You were going to expose them. But the day before you planned to go to the police, you died. Or I thought you died." "Who was it?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "My business partner. Marcus Webb. Your best friend's husband." He showed me a photo. I recognized the man immediately. It was the same man who'd been following me. The same man I'd seen watching Mia's school. Fear shot through me. "He's here. In the city. He's been watching us." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I should have known. When you showed up alive, he must have panicked. He thinks you remember what you found. But I don't remember anything. He doesn't know that." Ethan started making calls. Security. Police. His lawyers. "We're ending this now. Today." But Marcus was already one step ahead. That afternoon, I went to pick up Mia from school. She wasn't there. The teacher said a man claiming to be her father had picked her up early. "He had authorization papers," she said nervously. "He said it was an emergency." My world collapsed. I called Ethan, barely able to speak through my panic. He took her. Marcus took Mia. Ethan's voice went cold and deadly. "I'm tracking your phone. Stay where you are. Don't move." 20 minutes later, Ethan pulled up with 2 security guards. He sent a message. "He wants the evidence you found 5 years ago. He thinks you have copies." "But I don't. I don't remember any of this." "I know." Ethan grabbed my shoulders gently. "But I do. I kept everything. Every file you gave me. I have proof of everything he did." "Then give it to him. Just get Mia back. If I give him the evidence, he'll destroy it. And then he'll kill all of us to make sure we can't testify." Ethan had a plan. We'd meet Marcus at the old Sterling Industries warehouse. We'd bring copies of the evidence, but keep the originals with the police. We'd wear wires. We'd get him to confess everything on tape. It was risky, but we had no choice. At the warehouse, Marcus was waiting with Mia. My daughter looked scared but unharmed. "Mommy," she cried when she saw me. "I want to go home." "Soon, baby. Soon." I forced myself to stay calm. Marcus smiled coldly. "Elena. So good to see you alive. Though I have to admit, I preferred you dead." "Let my daughter go," I said. "She has nothing to do with this." "She has everything to do with this. She's leverage." He looked at Ethan. "You brought the files." Ethan held up a flash drive. "Everything. 5 years of embezzlement. Fraud. And now kidnapping. You're done, Marcus." Marcus laughed. "Am I? Because from where I'm standing, I have all the power." That's when we heard sirens. Marcus's face changed. "You called the police? Did you really think we'd come alone?" Ethan moved fast, pulling me behind him as police surrounded the building. The confrontation happened in seconds. Marcus grabbed Mia, pulling her close. "Nobody move or the kid gets hurt." But he'd underestimated one thing. Mia might be small, but she was fierce. She bit his hand hard. He yelped and loosened his grip. That's all the opening Ethan needed. He rushed forward and tackled Marcus to the ground. Police swarmed in. Within minutes, Marcus was in handcuffs, screaming about his rights. I grabbed Mia and held her tight, sobbing into her hair. "You're safe. You're safe now." Ethan stood nearby, breathing hard, his suit torn. When our eyes met, something inside me broke open. All at once, memories flooded back. Not everything. Not all at once. But enough. I remembered him. Remembered us. Remembered love. "Ethan," I whispered. He turned, hope and fear warring on his face. "Do you?" "I remember." Tears streamed down my face. "I remember you." The next few weeks were chaos. Marcus was charged with embezzlement, fraud, kidnapping, and attempted murder. The evidence was overwhelming. He'd staged Elena's death 5 years ago, paying someone to put a body in her car and push it off a cliff. He'd drugged her, dumped her on the side of a road, and hoped she'd die from exposure or never regain her memory. But she'd survived. Become Clara. Built a new life. Meanwhile, I was caught between two worlds. Part of me was Elena, Ethan's wife, remembering fragments of our life together. But part of me was still Clara, the struggling single mother who'd built a life from nothing. "You don't have to decide right now," Ethan told me one evening. We were sitting in his penthouse, watching Mia play with toys she'd never had before. "I know I'm asking you to remember a life you don't fully recall. That's not fair. But Mia deserves her father," I said quietly. Healing took time. Therapy helped me process the trauma of what Marcus had done. Slowly, more memories returned. Not everything. Some things were lost forever. But enough to know that Ethan had loved me. Had searched for me. Had mourned me. And part of me had loved him too. "I can't promise to be the Elena you remember," I told him one night. "Too much has changed. I've changed." "I don't want the old Elena," he said, taking my hand. "I want you. Whoever you are now. Whatever you remember or don't remember. I want this version of you. The strong, fierce woman who survived 5 years alone and built a life for our daughter." That's when I knew. I wasn't choosing between Elena and Clara. I was both. I was neither. I was something new. And maybe that was okay. 6 months later, we were rebuilding. Not our old life, we couldn't get that back. But a new life. Better, in some ways. Mia adjusted quickly to having a father. Ethan spoiled her, but also taught her to be strong. I took a real position at Sterling Industries, not because Ethan was the CEO, but because I was good at my job. We moved slowly. Dates. Conversations. Learning each other again. And one evening, as we sat together watching Mia play in the park, Ethan asked, "Do you think you could love me again? Not because you remember, but because of who we are now." I looked at him. Really looked. At the one who'd never given up. Who'd protected our daughter. Who'd fought for the truth. "I think I already do," I said. He smiled, really smiled, for the first time since I'd known him. Some love stories end tragically. Ours got a second chance. Not because of memory or fate, but because sometimes love doesn't need to remember. It just needs to find its way back. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing true stories about second chances, lost memories, and love that never dies. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you believe in second chances? I read every single comment. Thank you for watching.